Quads on the agenda today. So, second workout video. I'm going to do quads. I always start, not just legs, every workout. I'll start with a little 5-6 minutes on the treadmill, little incline walk. Nothing absolutely incredibly strenuous, but kind of serves twofold benefit. So, first benefit is, especially first thing in the morning like today, gets the heart rate up, pushes the blood around. Obviously we want to establish good blood flow prior to training for so many reasons. Blood carries everything, carries oxygen, carries nutrients, carries everything that we need for training, for recovery. So we want to get our heart rate a little bit up, get us primed and ready to go. But also it's mental. So I'll always jump on the treadmill. I always know how and what I'm going to train. I always know what the workout looks like before we actually step foot into the weight room. So I can, before I've even got into the weight room, before I've even stepped onto that first exercise, that first machine, that first rep, I'm already ready. I've already seen it in my mind. I've already visualized it. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. So the actual delivery of the workout itself is almost automatic. It's almost a foregone conclusion that I'm going to execute, because my preparation, my mental preparation is so intense. I do find that if you just walk into the gym, and I see this with 90% of guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. If anything, sometimes I actually envy the guys who can just walk in, be chilled, jump straight on a machine and go. But for me, I've never been like that. It's always been a case of 100% or 0. And if I didn't mentally prepare completely, I'd always feel like I was leaving a little bit away from the workout, because I do genuinely believe if you want to go at 100 miles an hour, you do have to prepare like you're going to go at 100 miles an hour. Can't just jump in and go. So, yeah, 5 minutes on here. When I'm going to do lower body, I'll actually do a little bit of front forwards walking, and then I will spin round. Looks a bit strange, and I will do a little bit of walking backwards on the treadmill. What I find when I do this, much more engaging for the hamstrings. My knees get a lot more warmed up by walking backwards prior to any kind of squatting movement or any kind of flexion at the knee joint, like a leg curl or a leg extension. So I do a little bit of forwards walking, then a little bit of walking backwards on an incline. Like I said, just get my knees warm, get my hamstrings primed, engage my calves a little bit more. Plus, you get the funny looks from people in the gym, which I always love. So when I'm warming up, I'm always starting off with a little bit more dynamic work. If you go straight into static stretching when you're cold, it's actually not very effective. So that's counterproductive in terms of what you want to achieve. So first exercise on quads, adductor. I love starting off leg days with adductor and glute work. I find it just primes you. So then all the more compound style, heavy style work feels a lot better, especially going into it, especially when you move a lot of weight. Like we've got big heavy squats today, so I want to be as primed as I can be without kind of minimal pre-exhaust. So I like this banded single leg variation at the moment. I've done a single leg variation on a cable for a long time. I'm loving it with the band at the moment, just to try and increase as much strength in my connective tissue, in my isometrics as possible, as I'm trying to push towards a more functional physique. So I'll wrap it around my ankle, attach it to a low station. I'll step away from it until there's tension in the band, suitable tension in the band, and then I'll actually drive. So I'll let the tension in the band pull my ankle out laterally, and then I'll drive with my knee in and up. I want to think about driving towards 2 o'clock on the other side of the wall. So my knee tracks out laterally, then up and in around my hip. What that does, we don't just get a much more dynamic adductor move than potentially just sitting on the linear machine by Live Fitness and putting 4 plates on it with a gym pin like everyone does. But we also get a lot more hip flexor engagement as well, which is a part of the lower body, a part of the quad, which I'd say 90% of people, including bodybuilders, tend to neglect. When we're using the band, we want to make sure that we're really utilising it to its full potential. So we're sitting in that squeeze position for a split second before letting the tension in the band pull us back down into the stretch. I love these variations where you're not fixed in a machine. If you get really strong on machines and not on free motion style exercises like this, your chance for injury is so much higher, because that strength imbalance between the linear path of a machine and how you move in the real world is huge. That's why so many big guys get injured outside the gym. We lost count of how many reps that was. Second exercise, lying hamstring curl. Again, might as well just call me the band man at this point. How many machines can I band? So even though it's a quad dominant workout, we're starting off with a hamstring curl, and I've always done that. And it's the same primary reason as why we do the backwards treadmill walk, the banded adductor and the glute work at the start. It really primes the knee joint and the knee flexion and that motion ready for heavy compounds. And you'll see the benefit when we move into squatting later on. I find that if you start your quad biased workouts with a hamstring curl, a fixed hamstring curl, you don't have to go stupidly heavy. It has to be enough to push blood in and around the target muscle and the joint that we're going to be primarily using today, which is obviously, if we're training quads, it's that knee joint. I find it just opens up so much more potential for that heavy quad work, starting off with a hamstring curl. Calves is another one that I used to, when I first started training, maybe didn't prioritise high enough. Used to just stack them at the end of workouts, maybe attack them with a little bit more volume in the hopes that would make up for the intensity. It doesn't. Move calves to the start of your workout. Don't care if you've got massive calves, skinny calves, think you've got shit calf genetics, move them to the start of your workout. Prioritise them. It's not going to take away from the rest of your workout, a little bit of calf work at the start, because when you move them to the start, we can go maximum intensity, so you can lower the volume very slightly. I always do one set, literally one set of calves. That's all I've done for the majority of my bodybuilding career when I've had strong calves. I was training calves maybe twice a week or twice every 10 days. One seated variation, one standing variation. One rest pause set into a stretch. And the one thing people get wrong with calves, in my personal opinion, is they over prioritise the stretch over the contraction. People don't know how to fully contract their calves, how to shorten it to the max. They're obsessed with going super deep into the stretch, but they neglect that very peak contraction. I've said it a million times and I'll keep saying it until I stop seeing people doing it wrong. When you come up on a contraction for calves, we're not just coming vertically upward with our heels. If you're here, you're probably missing out on a good 30% of the contraction. We want up and forward with our heels. I can feel it and I can visually see it in the mirror, the difference in contraction versus here and here. Drive up, drive forward, drop the weight, up the intensity, lose the ego. Front squats. Squats has always been something that I've really prided myself on, if that's a word. Not enough blood in my brain. I've always been proud of my squat. When I first started training, squat squatting and deadlifting was really what I hung my hat on. And I think that's why as my bodybuilding career progressed, I was known for being incredibly lower body dominant, especially through the glutes, which is one of the reasons I've swapped to front squats rather than back squats. I can still move a lot of weight on back squats, the movement still feels lovely, but I do get a lot more subconscious glute engagement than potentially I would like. And actually the functional applications of front squats for me personally is a lot higher at the moment. It allows me to engage and fight with my core a lot harder, to stay upright, to maintain that optimal bar position. And as a squat, generally you're going to get significantly more quad engagement and quad development from a front squat versus a back squat, which is, I'll die on the hill of the back squat is up there with a conventional deadlift for the most efficient total body movement. A lot of people think back squats are just for lower body, but no, they're total body movement. So today we do front squats. I can push front squats incredibly heavy. We're going to work to a top set. We'll maybe go 4 plates, maybe 4.5, for a set of 4 to 8, which I overload every 2 weeks, sorry. And the back off is going to be quite creative today, so wait and see.
Come on, let's go.
Whoa! We'll band the bar, as I said before. See how many different things can I stick a band on. We'll band the bar, overload the movement at the top, overload those joints, really try and increase the isometric strength, which is something that throughout my bodybuilding career, whether it be through training technique or extracurricular supplement use, maybe isn't as strong as I would like it at the moment. It's something I'm really trying to develop. We go into leg extensions, which is the most bodybuilding move that we'll do today. But we're going to go really heavy, explosive style leg extensions. So I love the leg extension that we've got here. Some people don't like it, they think the stack's not heavy enough. I just tell them to do it better, do it properly, make it hard. So we're going to go full stack on there, which is still heavy. We'll go fully into the stretch, which on the new leg extension that we've got is perfect. It's a nice, to do this you need a deep range of motion, fight to keep your knees internally rotated, get that stretch through the total musculature of the quad. We'll go deep into the stretch. We'll allow the stack to very briefly rest, remove all of the elastic energy that the movement holds, and then we're driving out of that stretch position hard all the way to the top and beyond. We're actually going to hyperextend at the top of the leg extension, drive our hamstring. Imagine driving your hamstring off of the pad. So we bring in the hip flexor as well. So we're lifting not just at the knee joint, at the hip joint as well. Drive it up hard. 10 explosive reps there. It's almost like 10 sets of 1 rep, how I want you to perform it. And then we're going straight from there over to explosive box jumps, weighted box jumps with 20 kilo dumbbells. So we're adding 40 kilos to what is already a pretty heavy rig to be shifting. And the beauty of doing them after leg extensions is the quads are fried, they're pre-exhausted. What we're doing is we're training the body, we're training our lower body to get adapted and efficient with training under stress, training while we're pre-fatigued, rather than just, oh, it's easy to come and do everything when you're fresh. We want to pre-exhaust the target muscle, come over here and learn to perform explosive style movements like box jumps under load while our quads are already extremely fatigued. Into deficit reverse lunges, another movement I've introduced which is a little bit more functional. You set a little step as high as you deem relevant to achieve the range of motion you desire. I like 2 of these thick bumper plates, and effectively what we do is we just step back off of the plate into a stretch, put all of our weight through that front foot which is on the plates, step back, stretch down, back knee onto the floor, chest nice and high, drive up and forward, bring our hips up and through. It's much more functional. I find you get a better range of motion than a conventional walking lunge. It's a lot more like dynamic. You can make it as metabolic as you like by doing quick reps, explosive reps, more reps. You can add weight. I do it with kettlebells today, and I actually take my back foot not just back in a straight line, but actually a little bit off to the side, laterally, almost like backing out at 45 degrees. And I'll twist my body a little bit away from that, engage a little bit more adductor as well. I'm all about making things as functional as possible at the moment because I'm a fucking hybrid athlete. Yeah, boy.